Hello everyone, and welcome back. Hope you're ready for some more reading. I've got my book, and as you can tell, I've got my therapy friends with me. Oh, he's falling over. Let's put him back up. That's better. Now, let's get slightly more comfortable, and we shall begin. Hope you remembered where we were, people, because I'm not going back. Transactional analysis constructs the following classification of the four possible life positions held with respect to oneself and others. 1. I'm not okay, but you're okay. 2. I'm not okay, and you're not okay. 3. I'm okay, but you're not okay. And 4. I'm okay, you're okay. Before I elaborate each position, I wish to state a few general observations about positions. I believe that by the end of the second year of life, or sometime during the third year, the child has decided on one of the first three positions. The I'm not okay, you're okay is the first tentative decision based on the experiences of the first year of life. By the end of the second year, it is either confirmed and settled, or it gives way to position 2 or 3. I'm not okay, you're not okay, or I'm okay, you're not okay. Once finalised, the child stays in his chosen position and it governs everything he does. It stays with him the rest of his life, until he later consciously changes it to the 4th position. People do not shift back and forth. Okay. The decision as to the first three positions is based totally on stroking and non-stroking. Not literal stroking like you would to a cat or a dog or other beloved household pet. The first three are non-verbal decisions. They are conclusions, not explanations, yet they are more than conditional responses. They are what Piaget called intellectual elaborations in the construction of causality. In other words, they are a product of adult data processing in the very little person. I'm not okay, but you're okay. This is the universal position of early childhood, being the infant's logical conclusion from the situation of birth and infancy. There is okayness in this position because stroking is present. Every child is stroked in the first year of life simply by the fact that he has to be picked up to be cared for. Without at least minimal handling, the infant would not survive. There is also not okayness. That is the conclusion about himself. I believe the evidence points to the overwhelming accumulation of not okay feelings in the child, making logical his not okay conclusion about himself. In explaining transactional analysis to patients and non-patients, I found a generally that's it response to the explanation of the origin and existence of the not okay child. I believe that acknowledging the not okay child in each of us is the only sympathetic, thus curative way games can be analysed. Considering the universality of games, the universality of the I'm not okay is a reasonable deduction. Adler's break with Freud was over this point. Sex was not at the basis of man's struggle in life, but rather feelings of inferiority, or not okay, which were apparent universally. See, this is what I said about Freud before. Great man, but he was a little bit obsessed with sex, for my liking. He claimed that the child, by virtue of his small size and helplessness, inevitably considered himself inferior to the adult figures in his environment. Harry Stack Sullivan was greatly influenced by Adler, and I was greatly influenced by Sullivan, with whom I studied for 5 years preceding his death. Sullivan, whose central contribution to psychoanalytic thought was the concept of interpersonal relationships or transactions, claimed that the child built his self-estimate totally on the appraisal of others, what he called reflected appraisals, he said. The child lacks the equipment and experience necessary to form an accurate picture of himself, so his only guide is the reactions of others to him. There is very little cause for him to question these appraisals, and in any case he is far too helpless to challenge them or to rebel against them. Passively accepts the judgments which are communicated empathetically at first, and by words, gestures and deeds in this period. Thus the self-attitudes learned early in life are carried forever by the individual, with some allowance for the influence of extraordinary environmental circumstances and modification through later experiences. In his first position, the person feels at the mercy of others, feels a great need for stroking or recognition, which is a psychological version of the early physical stroking. In this position there is hope because there is a source of stroking. You are okay, even if the stroking is not constant. Not constant is what I was trying to say. The adult has something to work on. What must I do to gain their strokes or their approval? There are two ways in which people may attempt to live out this position. The first is to live out a life script that confirms the not okay. There's a little side note here which I'm actually going to read because it does bear something to the book. What am I doing tonight? I'm mental. What I'm trying to say is relevant to the book. As you can tell, I'm not having the best of nights, but we get through this. Life script, or script analysis, as it's referred to at the bottom. Script analysis is the method of uncovering the early decisions made unconsciously as to how life shall be lived. My reference to script and counter-script is general. Definitive studies of the origins and analysis of scripts are being conducted by a number of transactional analysts. Transactional analysts, notably Byrne, Ernst, Groder, Cartman, and Steiner. Back to the book. The script may call for a life of withdrawal since it is too painful to be around okay people. Thus a person may seek stroking through make-believe and engage in an elaborate wish life of if I and when I. Beginning to feel called out here. Another person's script may call for behaviour which is provoking to the point where others turn on him. Negative, such otherwise known as negative stroking. Thus proving once again, I'm not okay. This is the case of the bad little boy. You sound bad, so I'll be bad. He may kick and spit and claw his way through life, and thus achieve a fraudulent integrity with at least one constant he can count on. I'm not okay, but you're okay. There is a kind of miserable sense in this, in that the integrity of the position is maintained, but it leads to despair. The ultimate resolution of this position is given up, leads to institutionalization or unaliving oneself. Just to be clear, it doesn't actually say unalive, it says the S word. That implies that you are unaliving yourself, I should point out. So I'll quickly show it to you. Look. See? Obviously I don't want to actually say that word because, you know, YouTube really doesn't like it. I mean, I've not been punished by YouTube for using that word, but what I can say is that I've seen other channels get in trouble for it. So right, back to the book. A more common way to live out this position is by a counterscript with bold lines from the parent. You can be okay if such a person seeks friends and associates who have a big parent because he needs big strokes. And the bigger the parent, the better the strokes. Okay strokes can only come from okay people, and the parent is okay, as it was in the beginning. This person is eager, willing and compliant to the demands of others. Some of our best people are where they are because of these efforts to gain approval. However, they are committed to a lifetime of mountain climbing, and when they reach the top of one mountain, they're confronted by another still mountain. The not okay writes the scripts. The you're okay, and I want to be like you, writes the counterscript. Neither words in producing happiness or a sense of lasting worth. However, because the position has not changed, no matter what I do, I'm still not okay. Once the position is uncovered and changed, the achievement and skills that have resulted from counterscript can serve the person well when he builds a new unconscious life plan with the adult. I'm not okay, and you're not okay. If all children who survive infancy initially conclude I'm not okay, but you're okay, what happens to produce the second position? I'm not okay, and neither are you. What happened to the you're okay? What happened to the source of stroking? By the end of the first year, something significant has happened to the child. He is walking, yet he no longer has to be picked up. If his mother is cold and non-stroking, if she only put up with him during the first year because she had to, then his learn to walk means that his babying days are over. The stroking ceases entirely. In addition, punishments come harder and more often as he is able to climb out his crib, as he gets into everything and won't stay put. Even self-inflicted hurts come more frequently as his mobility sends him tripping over obstacles and tumbling downstairs. Life, which in the first year had some comforts, now has none. Stroking has disappeared. If this state of abandonment and difficulty continues without relief through the second year of life, the child concludes, I'm not okay, and you're not okay. In this position, the adult starts developing since one of its primary functions, getting strokes, is thwarted. In fact, there is no source of stroking. A person in this position gives up. There is no hope. He simply gets through life, and ultimately may end up in a mental institution in a state of extreme withdrawal, with aggressive behaviour which reflects a vague, archaic longing to get back to life as it was in the first year during which he received the only stroking he ever knew, as an infant who was held and fed. I hope you're getting all this, people, because I'm not going back. It is hard to imagine anyone going through life without any stroking. Even with a non-stroking mother, there most certainly appeared persons who were capable of caring for a person in this position, and who in fact did stroke. However, once a position is decided, all experience is selectively interpreted to support it. If a person concludes you're not okay, it applies to all other people, and he rejects their stroking, genuine though it may be. So, couldn't keep hold of a page. He really found a measure of integrity or sense in his early conclusion. Therefore, new experiences do not readily break it down. This is the deterministic nature of positions. Also, the individual in this position stops using his adult with regard to his relationships with them. Sorry, reading, I lost my pace as soon as I was reading. No, let's start again. He originally found some measure of integrity or sense in his early conclusion. Therefore, new experiences do not readily break it down. This is the deterministic nature of positions. Also, the individual in this position stops using his adult with regard to his relationship with others. Therefore, even in treatment, it is difficult to reach his adult, particularly in view of the fact that the therapist also occupies the category, you're not okay. There is one condition in which I'm not okay, you're not okay may be the initial position, rather than secondary to the first. This is the condition of the autistic child. The autistic child remains psychologically unborn. Infantile autism appears to be the response of the immature organism to catastrophic stress in an external world in which there is no stroking which gets through to him. The autistic child is one who in the critical early weeks of life did not feel himself to be rescued. It is as if he found nobody out there after his catastrophic expulsion into life. Shopler concludes there is a psychological factor which combines with insufficient stroking to produce the autistic child. The factor is thought to be a high stimulus barrier so that the stroking which is given does not register. He may not be totally deprived of stroking, but he may be deprived of his sensation of it or an accumulation of his sensations of it. The infant is then seen by the parents as a non-responsive child. He doesn't like to be held, he just lies there. He's different. And then, even the stroking which has been given is withheld because he doesn't like to be held. It is possible that vigorous stroking may have overcome the barrier. Now, I'm gonna add a little saying here. If you know someone who isn't big on basic physical contact, then don't push them through it. I mean, I can't really say because I've never had a child and I can't remember when I was this young, but it does suggest that constant stroking will make them like stroking, which I don't agree with, I will admit. If someone doesn't like something, then you kind of work around it, especially when it comes to autistic people. Autistic people usually, generally, I mean, I know I'm about to make a generalization, but they aren't always big on physical contact with people unless they really, really trust them. If you as I'm going to say, is the best thing to do with someone like that is just to be there for them, I'd say. If you know someone who doesn't like contact, like a hug or whatever, then don't hug them, okay? The number of hugs you will give them will not make a difference. Just be there. Best thing you can do for people, in my opinion. Rant over now. Once I observed an 11-year-old non-verbal autistic boy. Evidence the semen percep... Done it again. Start again. Once I observed an 11-year-old non-verbal autistic boy evidence the semen perception of the "I'm not okay, you're not okay" position by an intense, repeated hitting with his fist. First his counsellor and then his own head. It was as if he were acting out his view of life. You're not okay, and I'm not okay. Let's smash both of us. And that, people, is where we end the book tonight, because it's the end of that little bit of the chapter. We shall be continuing on the next reading video. I can't give you a date right now because I don't know what date this video will be uploaded. However, I will tell you this now. At the moment on my channel, as you've probably noticed if you are a regular subscriber, I'm doing a reading video, then a non-reading video. And this is going to be no exception to the case. So you have a video where I read this book, and then you have a video where I do something else, such as talking or travelling. Most likely talking something. So you'll get the next video. Let's see. 20, in about 96 hours. Within the next 96 hours, you'll get the next reading video. Of course, alternatively, if you can't wait that long, why not buy the book? There's plenty of places online to buy it. Heck, you might even see it in a local shop yourself. If you buy it yourself, then you won't have to wait for me. You won't have to watch these videos. And yes, I am aware I shouldn't be telling you not to buy a book and read it instead of watching me do it. But I'm just being honest. Although you are joining me on this journey in learning stuff, you also need to go on your own journey and learn. And you probably do it better without me. I hate to say it. But hopefully you won't, and you'll stay here all the same. So until next time, people, take care of yourselves, alright? Bye.